Ugh.
Say that shit.
Woof.
Wait, what? Cheers.
I'm fucking mature.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Amateur Intellectuals. My name is Kendall, and I'm here with my co-host, Caitlin.
Hello.
Hey, girl. So, if you're watching on YouTube right now, I have some splaining to do. Welcome to my junky car. MTV Pimp My Ride. Made it up to Lincoln Forest and didn't realize that it was like a 20-degree temperature change. There's actually still snow on the ground. So maybe behind me, hopefully you can get a good look at that. It is beautiful. It is just a tad chilly out. So I'm going to be recording from inside here today. Caitlin, I am so thrilled about this episode. It's so wonky, and I've never even heard of it. So,
Okay.
First question. Have you ever heard of the Battle for Los Angeles?
No, it sounds like one of those end of the world movies.
Yes. Well, I think there's a movie called Battlefront LA, Battle something. And this little to-do was briefly mentioned in the intro to that.
Oh, wow.
But for the real question of the episode, you and I have skimmed on, I believe, UFOs, aliens, extra-terrestrials.
Mm-hmm.
But just as a refresher for all of us, are you a believer?
I'm a believer in alien life. I'm not a believer in aliens are watching us and they've landed and there's government cover-ups and all that. It seems to me that the simplest answer is usually the right one. So I'm not generally a conspiracy theorist, but I don't know. I mean, I like that said, I do believe that we're not the only planet that has life on it. So where do you stand on that?
I generally agree with you. I think, like, statistically, obviously it's, like, impossible that we're alone, but I also, like, I do find myself getting wrapped up in, like, a little bit of conspiracy, and then I have to, like, back up and be like, whoa. Is it level shoulders, level-headed? Whatever, you, like, come back to earth. So what sparked all this, I'm going to get into the drink in just a second, but what sparked all this is I was in Carlsbad, and I hopped up to Roswell, which is, of course, where, I mean, undoubtedly, unquestionably, not even controversially, an alien UFO spacecraft crashed there.
Yeah.
Scientifically proven.
Yeah.
And I was at the museum, which I don't like to shit on small business, but what the fuck was that?
Why? What was it? I've never been there.
It was a large room with, like, a Stephen King novel to read, plastered up on the walls. It was, like, the second I rounded the corner, I was like, oh, fuck. I just paid to read all of this. And, of course, I read, like, a quarter of it, and I was like, that's good. But around the first corridor, there was this article, and they were talking about how UFOs, flying saucers, and all that were, this isn't like just a Roswell thing. There was also this weird event that happened in Los Angeles a few years prior. And I, like, looked up the news article, and I was like, oh my God, I've never even heard of that. And how strange. So we're going to do a quick little deep dive on that.
Yeah.
The cocktail for this episode is the flying saucer.
Of course it is.
With a appreciative nod to absolutedrinks.com. Thank you so much. This sounds lovely. When I get back into the city, I'm going to buy some of these to make this because it looks yummy. It's a martini, so it's just in parts, and they're all equal parts.
Okay.
They say 2/3 part bourbon, 2/3 part cognac, 2/3 part flavored brandy. I say count to 4 or 5 on each of them. Let her rip.
Okay.
Put some rocks in a shaker glass, give that baby a twirl, nice little martini glass, and let's get tipsy.
You know what? I remember in Fort Worth, the Flying Saucer bar. I really liked that place too.
Yes. Yes. We do have one of those. Who the fuck is we?
The royal we, you and God.
Oh, that feels so good. They do. Yes, they do. They have one of those. When it was famous. I don't know. Look at that hair I just pulled out. It was famous, for having like an insane number of taps, like hundreds, something like that. Yeah. I would recommend the Flying Saucer over the museum, but
I'm sorry, you're telling me you would recommend a bar over a museum? I mean, like, yeah. Almost always.
Before, do the bar first, museum, and then back to the bar.
Yeah.
It's a museum sandwich.
It's what you do while you're sobering up for round 2.
Right. The old boot and rally. Okay, so I kind of got into this already, but I'm just going through my notes. But I didn't do the date. So when I was in Roswell, everything that happened in Roswell, the crash, it's not speculated. It's like it happened sometime between mid-June and July 1947. Depending on which story you hear. So this is the Cold War era. There's experimental craft, experimental missiles, experimental all of that. So
everybody's looking up, thinking something's going to come and nuke them. Like whoever it's going to be. Is it Russia? Is it an alien?
Cuba, which is also Russia. Is it an alien? Which, like, yeah, I was about to get into the there's some cool shit on that craft. Like, they like had all these different accounts, like people explaining this weird metal that they found out there, and it would like you could crumple it, but you couldn't tear it or burn it, and then whenever you set it down, it would like unfold itself without any crinkles.
Ew, that's creepy.
I know, and it was like 7 or 8 people said that, and it was like kids. Because they like let the kids like go pick it up and play with it, and then like the sheriff took some home to his kid.
Of course,
it was right. This is pre-war. I guess. Well, no, it's post. It was in the middle. Roswell is literally nothing. There's nothing there except for this. So, moving right along. In the museum, so they're trying to tie the Battle of LA, UFO in the sky, UFOs. People have seen UFOs around, all of that. So, here's some context for the story. Japan surprise bombed U.S. at Pearl Harbor on December the 7th, 1941. A day that will live in infamy. I only know that quote because of it was in the movie Pearl Harbor. I know it's real.
I think most of America gets history from like movies. So
and like I get shit on for liking Pearl Harbor so much. It's almost like daily.
I don't think I ever saw it. I mean I obviously know how it ends, but
yes. Hot guys, flying airplanes.
Liv Tyler somewhere in there.
Oh, fuck. I love Liv Tyler. Yes. Okay, so in the time, war jitters were big on the West Coast because obviously they're closer to Japan on a map. So the civilians were kind of feeling potentially exposed to war activity. According to the LA Times, which has published this article from 1942, they've republished it and then gone over it a couple times. I just thought that was interesting to be reading from the same source in which it happened so long ago. They said by February 1942, air raid sirens, searchlights, and anti-aircraft guns filled Los Angeles.
That's got to be horrifying.
Oh, imagine, yeah. And it says blackouts and drills were common.
Ugh. Like, is this the moment? Like, grab your kids, grab your family. Is this the time? Is this the moment?
Right.
Mm-mm.
And like after the bombing, and then after them, like the U.S. getting involved in the war, people on the coast were just kind of a little nervous, and I don't necessarily blame them.
Mm-mm.
Um, it turned out that their fear was not unfounded. On February 23rd, 1942, so just a couple months after Pearl Harbor, a Japanese submarine surfaced and shelled artillery at oil installations north of Santa Barbara.
Oh my God.
Did you know that?
No.
I didn't either.
That's so scary.
So that's a different thing, and that's called the bombardment of Elwood, Ellwood.
Okay.
Some quick notes on that. So the Japanese knew that President Roosevelt would be speaking on the radio on that day, so they scheduled the attack in line with that. The,
Mm-mm.
the captain, because their whole thing, I think I get into this in a second, but like their whole thing was just trying to invoke that fear and that like chaos on the homeland of the United States.
Okay. Yeah, okay, wait. So I know I ask you this every episode, but did you ever see the following movie? Did you ever see the movie Greyhound with Tom Hanks in it? It's relatively recent.
I don't think so.
You might like it. So it's all about like they're trying to get through the open water unprotected. They don't have aerial coverage, and they're a ship, and they have to get through when there's a bunch of like submarines that are like the enemy submarines that it's actually Germans, I think, but they are hiding. And the way that they do cinematography for that, because it makes you so scared of submarines. Like it sounds like it feels like Jaws, except like submarines with people trying to kill you, like actively trying to kill you.
Oof.
But anyway, that's what it makes me think of, is like all of a sudden, like all these Santa Barbara people are just like do on my oil rig, whatever, and then peekaboo, like right out of the water comes this predator submarine, you know.
Oh yeah. Like you could have never known it was there. There was something like 7 to 14 of them, like patrolling, Japanese submarines just patrolling the West Coast at one point. They would just kind of go up and down it.
It's so scary.
That's terrifying. That's like, and like that, like no matter where you are on any coast, any country, whatever, like just the fact that those things are just so slippery, so sneaky, girl.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Another weird couple of facts about Elwood. So the captain of the Japanese submarine, before the war, sailed a merchant ship, which had at one point stopped at that same exact spot to get cargo of oil.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the guy who like fired on, it just said oil installment, so I'm gonna call it. It was some sort of like tank. It was like a fuel tank for a nearby airport.
Mm-hmm.
He had stopped at that same refinery, for lack of a better word, and purchased cargo there before he, years later, attacked it.
Mm.
Estimates say that the submarine fired off somewhere between 15 and 25 shells, missing targets and causing minimal damage. However, the purpose of the attack was accomplished, rising fear in the American people. The war had reached home.
Oh my God. It gives me chills.
It's so weird that, like, I've never heard of that. You've never heard of that.
Mm-mm, I haven't, and I was a history minor.
It's like like Pearl Harbor is one thing. Like, Pearl Harbor was way out there. It was closer to Japan. But, like, for them to be firing shells onto the mainland... Mm-hmm. That's, like, totally different. That's, like, Red Dawn shit.
Yeah, in your backyard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So this is how this kind of correlates to the battle for L.A. I've fucked up the way that I said that, but the very next day, the battle for L.A. occurred. So, I think people got wind of there was an attack. And then the next day, everyone was just like freaking out, paranoid, trigger happy, all that.
Understandably.
So,
Understandably.
Oh, absolutely. So it is said that paranormal. Oh my God.
The ghosts were aboard the submarine. They were kamikaze ghosts.
Paranormal. Okay, hold on. I'm so fucked up. These two stray dogs just walked up. They're not stray. They have a collar on. How bizarre. I have seen elk, wild horses, wild turkeys, and now domestic dogs.
Oh my God.
Oh. The people behind me didn't give me a good heads up. There's a man pulling up behind me. I had no idea. YouTube. You need to be in the comments. Where was the alert? We're under fucking attack.
Don't be telling ghost stories out in the middle of nowhere.
Literally. I am so gooped. He's just like walking down the road now. Take your damn dog, girl. I got a dog too. Shit. Okay, there we go. So, it is said that I did it again. Paranormal. It is said that paranoia and trigger-happy fingers caused one of the strangest incidents in American war history. Naval intelligence warned Californian units to be prepared for a potential attack. Around 2 a.m., military radar picked up what appeared to be an enemy contact 120 miles off of the LA coast. A quick aside. Basically what happened is like, it seems like the National Naval Intelligence picked up this blip on the radar, which radars were shit at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they picked up this blip and they were like, hey, there's something down there. Keep an eye out. And then 2 Californian radars confirmed that it was moving toward the shore. It was moving closer, coming toward land.
Stop it. Okay.
Right. So it says within minutes, this is such a weird, I would type this in, it's such a weird. Within minutes, men manned guns and searchlights lit the sky. The shooting started at 3
Wait a minute.
a.m.
What? Did they even know what they were shooting at? Or, like, I mean, did
No.
they even have a precise, or were they just shooting at the ocean?
Shooting at the sky.
Sorry, at the sky. Stop it.
Yeah.
What's
so
the
they're
plan,
like,
guys?
There's something on the radar, right? It's coming to the coast.
In the air, not in the sea.
In the air.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, correct.
Okay.
But this is the day after the submarine thing.
Yeah.
So everybody's freaked out. There's something in the air coming toward
It's
us.
a fucking alien spaceship, and they're like, holy shit, we walked into something that was not our beef. Holy
Right.
shit. People are
Like,
mad
pull
at
up,
us.
Pull up.
We're not Japan, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez. We come in peace line couldn't have come earlier.
Fuck these people.
Okay, so the shooting started at 3. Lights, tracer bullets, which whenever you see like the news and like the glowing, it's almost like in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, it's do, and then you can see that every do is a light, is its own little light. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which is so cool looking, but like
it's also like Armageddon. It's like it'll be the end of who's on the receiving end of that.
And if you're like just a civilian, like at a diner, and you look up and you're like, oh shit,
it's a shooting star. Oh no, it's heavy artillery.
Tracer bullets and banks. LA appeared to be under attack.
Oh my
Notice
God.
the appeared. Chaos, pandemonium. Over an hour later, the all clear signal was given.
For an hour.
For an hour. And I implore you at this point, before we go further, to look up, if you're listening, look up the photo of the Battle for LA. It's like the first one that pops up. And they had all of these like huge anti-aircraft searchlights at all these different stations along the coast. And so they have all these lights up in the sky, and the photo was manipulated because printing presses for newspapers were shit back then, and they still are. And so they would like have artists retouch photos to draw out details to make them more, whatever.
Ew, I see it. I just looked it up.
That looks like a UFO.
It does. Ew, and all the spotlights are on it.
Yes, right?
Ew.
Right.
Gross.
Yeah. So like I saw that and I was like, okay. In that hour, over 1,400 rounds, and we're talking about like 50 cal anti-aircraft rounds, were shot up on the Californian coast. With the light of day, the military realized that there was no attack. There were no bombs dropped, no downed planes, no nothing.
We call that picking a field of oopsie daisies.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
Can you imagine? Just like, what do you mean there was nothing there?
They must have felt kind of dumb. I mean, like to be like, oh guys, sorry, false alarm, everybody calm down. Sorry, Los Angeles, that we got y'all excited.
Okay, the craziest part of all of this, in my opinion, and like, we can talk about how it was a UFO in a minute, and that can also be perceived as crazy, but ironically, this is from history.com. The only damage during the battle had come from friendly fire. So all of this material, to put it nicely, that the military put in the air rained down across the city, shattering windows and ripping through buildings.
Fuck.
Oh my God. One dud. I don't know what that means. I guess I don't know what that means. Careened into a Long Beach golf course, and several residents had their homes partially destroyed by 3-inch artillery shells.
Oh my God. You're just sleeping. It's 3 a.m. 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. and all of a sudden your house is getting rained on.
Ripped apart.
Oh
yeah.
My God. You're right. It's Red Dawn.
It's like, yeah. So while there were no serious injuries from the shootout, it was reported, which is conflicting because it was reported that at least 5 people died. So no serious injuries, people died.
No serious injuries, just 5 deaths and about 10,000 hours of therapy after post-traumatic stress disorder all of a sudden is a muck in Los Angeles.
Imagine the amount of people to just be scared shitless. I can't.
Irreversibly scared shitless.
Irreversibly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they don't necessarily, they like kind of flirt with like not blaming themselves for the deaths of the 5 people because they died as a result of heart attacks and car accidents. So like, we didn't shoot them, it's not our fault.
Oh, that is really funny. I'm sorry, but that is really funny. There was a Modern Family episode where it was Halloween and Claire was like banned from the neighborhood from doing stuff that was scary because the year before the guy had a heart attack and she was like, it wasn't my fault. And it's like he had a heart attack because like she fucking scared him and he peed himself and had a heart attack. And she's like, it wasn't my fault. It's like the same thing. It's like, oh my God, it wasn't my fault. I'm sorry that they crashed their car because it was raining death. But you know what? And they had a heart attack. I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Shining lights up in the sky.
It would look like the end of the world. It would look like, again, like war was coming to your skies, like coming to your house.
To your house.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yikes.
So, on a not so great ending note for this story, in a preview of the hysteria that would soon accompany the Japanese internment, authorities also arrested some 20 Japanese Americans for allegedly trying to signal the non-existent aircraft.
Oh my God. So, like, in other words, like, they just came outside to see what was going on.
Right. Like everybody else.
Oh my
Just
God.
like everybody else.
This does make more sense, though, like, in terms of the, I mean, not that it ever made sense, you get it, but, like, it's a piece of the puzzle, historically speaking, about, like, before they rounded up all the Asian Americans to take them to the internment camps, like, that's a piece that I feel like was missing from the story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and like we didn't even know, and this is my like third time saying it, but like how did we not know about the submarine attack? Like that just seems like a big deal. Like I can't think of any other time besides Pearl Harbor, and I kind of thought that Pearl Harbor was the only example of like war on the mainland that wasn't civil or revolutionary.
Right. Yeah, I mean, me too. And I should know better, but because again, just studying it and whatever, but yikes. I had no idea.
Pretty freaking bizarre.
Yeah, but I'm glad you told me, because like, I mean, this is something that everybody should know. Like you should know about it. I mean, wherever you sit on the UFO spectrum, like this is part of American history and part of world history, so.
Right. Now let's get into the UFO section.
So. Yeah, do it. Love it. Living for it. Let's do this.
That's the historical accounts are mostly correct. There, I did some like summations. But this is okay. Yeah. Okay. So, days later, the Secretary of the Navy dismissed the mess as a false alarm. The Secretary of War said it was phantom planes. And better yet, after the war was over, the Japanese said that they never flew planes over LA.
Phantom plane.
Phantom planes.
It was a phantom plane. What? I mean... Okay. And the Japanese, meanwhile, are just like, oh, like jumpy.
Yowza. Sounds like we're not the only ones trying to get at ya. It was those extraterrestrials.
We were just over here. Like, we admit we had a couple guys in a submarine, but like, right. Listen, jumpy.
Well, and the reason that I read that they didn't do that was because it was like unfeasible, because they would have to move aircraft carriers close enough to the coast.
That's right.
to be
able to make the journey, right?
Right, and they were like, we know if we get our aircraft carriers over there, they'll get blown up. So
yeah, you ever played Battleship?
Literally,
that's what would have happened.
Exactly, to a T.
Mm-hmm.
In 1983, this is where we get into collusion, girl. This is where I start to get like, I know that I'm going into conspiracy a little bit here, but also like there's some corruption stuff happening here, I believe. In 1983, the Office of Air Force History outlined the events of the LA air raid and noted that, guess what?
What?
It was meteorological balloons that had been released prior to the barrage to help determine wind conditions. Their lights in silver color could have been what first triggered the alerts. Once the shooting began, the disorienting combination of searchlights, smoke, anti-aircraft flak might have led gunners to believe that they were firing on enemy planes, even though none were actually present.
So whose meteorological balloons were they? Americans?
Right.
So
I mean, no.
Right, in the sense that you are as far away to wrong.
No, right in that's the right question to ask. No, in that, unless, like, and I know this sounds like very, I was gonna say immature, but hey, welcome to the show. So you're telling me that the U.S. accidentally somehow put a weather balloon 120 miles west off the coast, didn't tell anybody, during a war
When everybody's jumpy.
a day after an attack
Yeah.
and didn't say anything? I just don't think that happens. I don't think that happens. And this is what I want to do, like a little discussion with you on. When I was at Roswell, all this to do, literally like 750,000 pages of shit to read. It was like, and I was like, skip to Revelation, girl. Let's get to the juicy bit. The end story of Roswell is that like all of the locals were like, there was like 10 different accounts of like, no, that was like an alien aircraft, and I saw this, and I saw this, and there's some like discrepancies and stuff that make you go like, But the government came in and like delivered threats to all these people, and they were like, you're going to keep your mouth shut forever. And all of these people suffered all of these traumas because of that. And like way down later in their lives, they started to come out of the woodwork a little bit.
Okay.
What they said, hold on one sec. What they said was it was a meteorological balloon. So the government goes in, the parts of the craft that they've found were shipped to Fort Worth, locked up, and then they said it was a weather balloon. And my thing is like, two UFO stories, you're both saying kind of in a dumb way that it was a weather balloon when it obviously couldn't have been a weather balloon. Now, I don't know what it is. I don't think, like, I'm not saying that it is, like, there was, like, 3 foot tall, slimy aliens on board the I can't say that either, but, like, to say it's a fucking weather balloon on both accounts puzzles me. What say you?
I just wonder if I'm looking at it without bias. I'm trying to. I think if any government wanted to cover something up, what is the reason? So if I back it up a little bit and say, okay, let's assume that the military component going in, first of all, being really secretive, but secondly, going in and then telling people like, this is what happened, like, you know, sort of Men in Black type situation, like coming in and telling them what they saw and giving them context and like, don't share this. I think back to what you said in the very beginning of our story, like if there had been something that was a huge fuck up, like a friendly fire fuck up, for instance, it's a fucking Pan Am flight or something, like something to the effect where, you know, not that, I mean, obviously, because people would go missing, but like, just if it was just an accidental thing where like we really, really like had our dick in our hands on this one, then I think there could be similar behavior in a cover-up.
Sure.
And I think when you have folklore and legends of extraterrestrials, that almost helps your case, right? When there's something just a little less supernatural and a little more sinister that could be going on. And then you just let the folklore ride it out. Like, oh, maybe, you'll never know. And it's like, we just fucked it up. But I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying that's one possibility. The other possibility could be truly in a government situation, like not so much a friendly fire, but it could have been a balloon or something. And the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, in the sense that like it was another department and they don't all speak to each other. And, you know, like any big organization, government or not, like, guys, this was unacceptable that we didn't know that this was happening. That could be explanation number 2. And then explanation number 3 could be, you know, it was something unexplainable. And again, everybody was super trigger happy. I mean, I'd be curious to hear the like testimonies of like the Navy people that were involved in it, you know, after they retired and stuff. I'd be curious to know like what their accounts, you know, just the Joes that were like sitting by the, you know, machinery or whatever, like listening to the bosses.
Yeah. I read a couple accounts just in this, if you go on to latimes.com, they have like the old article, and they have the whole thing was written by a guy who was in the military, was there, and he briefly talks about just that. And it's like, basically there was a couple of, like, some people saw one plane, some people saw multiple planes, some people thought it was formations, some people thought it was just kind of all over the place. And I think once the lights and the bullets and the explosions from this artillery like was taking off, he wrote in his piece that it was just like, you could, it's not a stretch to make up that you saw something. You did see something. There's just no way to know what the hell it was. There was so much shit in the air.
Sure, that's fair. And like, you know, your brain would fill in the holes, wouldn't it? You see artillery being shot up at the sky, and you're like, well, there's obviously a plane there. Like, there's I see something right there. Right. It must be a plane, because why would they be shooting at it if it wasn't a plane? Right.
I mean, whenever you say it, I'm like, yeah, that should make sense. Yeah, you're right. And like the simple thing of like whatever it could be is what it usually is.
But
I get that too. But like, I just don't. More than anything, it's the fact that a year ago the CIA was like, oh, yeah, no, for sure, there's UFOs. Like, we've come across so many things that we have no idea what the hell they are. Mm-hmm. And all of that is now public record. Mm-hmm. It's all terrible, like PDFs, like campaign finance stuff. It's like all like, it's so hard to dig through. But give me like, I don't know. Give me like, I was gonna say like 3 weeks, but it'll probably be like 15 years, and I'll find something. I just think it's so. It's the cover up thing, and it's the CIA.
It's the cover up for me.
It's this. I can't remember if it was in the. I don't think it was in the LA Times piece, and I don't remember where I read this now. But there was something about how the CIA does that. It's a known thing, just like the CIA had agents following artists, and like went with Nina Simone into South Africa, and went with that band, whatever, I can't remember. They do this thing where like, oh well, if you say it's this, if you say it's UFOs, they're gonna like laugh it off, or like make a mockery of it, kind of. Mm-hmm. But then it also helps them in that like PR way, to where it's like, if something worse is going on, and this is an easy like, look over here kind of thing. Mm-hmm. They effectively do that. I think far more than we know.
Yeah.
And just being so developed in covering things up.
No, you make sense. You make sense. And like, I think, any organization that has classified stuff, right? I just mean any entity, again, government or whatever, any organization, a mafia, I mean, anything, any organization that relies on secrecy to do its job. It's really nice to have a unicorn to blame it on all the time. I mean,
right.
It's the same. It's the same thing. Like, if there is something going on, like, let the conspiracy theorists run wild with the ideas of aliens. And I mean, could some of this stuff be that? Like, perhaps. I mean, again, I don't know. But I tend to believe usually that, again, the most easy explanation often is the most. But that doesn't mean that that's always the case. I mean, obviously, it's not always the case. I mean, so I think I told you this before on another episode, but my mother, we had some conversation after watching Unsolved Mysteries, that new series that came out, like the 2 new seasons that came out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so good. Well, some of those were alien ones. And so she and I just got on a tangent about like, so do you believe in aliens or whatever? And so I gave her basically the same answer I just gave you. And I said, like, what do you think? And she's like, I do. I believe in them. I'm like, wait, what? It shook my reality. It shook my reality that my mama was like, no, like, Among Us, man.
Yeah, she's like, I've fucking seen them, man.
yeah. The sky opened up and I saw 6 of them. Like, not really. She sounds insane. No, not really. But it's just, it's crazy to me that, like, there's a case for this. we just watched, sorry, another tangent, but we just watched Signs again. Have you seen
Oh,
that?
shit.
We just watched that the other night just because it was like, let's watch a weird movie that we haven't seen in a long time. So even then I was like, this is so creepy. Like, I think that's why I probably don't believe in it, because like it honestly shakes my foundation. Like if it's true that there's these creatures, these critters that are watching us and they're smarter than us.
Yeah.
Ew. Like, ew.
I don't want it.
I don't want it.
No.
Mm-mm.
Signs, literally, not hyperbolically, literally scarred me for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And it's that one scene. I've rewatched it since, and I've been like, oh.
Yeah, because CGI has
way
advanced.
Too young. Way hard. But there's that one scene where they're like doing the little video at the birthday party in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And that one just like swoops right across that alley. And I had that stuck in my head for so long. I didn't like driving at night. So that means I was at least 16.
Okay, no. You're right to be scared. You're right. I was the same exact way. And Kendall, I saw it when it came out. And so I was probably older than that. Like, I was terrified that there was just something on the roof because of the scene where they're running around the outside of the house, and then it like leaps up onto the roof, and then it's standing and you can see its silhouette on the roof.
Yep. Fuck. No.
And I was like, goodbye. I will be drowning myself in the bathtub. Goodbye. I will not live in fear anymore. I will be free.
Yeah. No.
Gross. But no. But that's what's so scary is like just that idea. Think about it. It's any primal prey feeling that something's watching you that you can't see back and you don't understand it. It's like being out in the woods. No offense that you are now.
Ew, Caitlin, nah.
But like, if there was someone or something out there, it's the premise for every prey predator situation. Yep. It's very scary. It's like, what do they want with us? What are they going to do to us?
What are they going to do to us? Where's Tara? Is Tara home?
Right. Like guerrilla warfare or whatever. Like, ugh. So that whole premise is just, no thank you. I don't want it.
No thanks. I just fucked that up so hard. It's not Tara, it's Tamra. It's Tamra home. That's the strangers.
Yeah, it's Tamra home. Yeah.
It's Tamra home.
Mm-mm.
It's just not.
No, she's not home. No, she's not.
No, she's not coming back
or
either.
never.
So you can just go right on up to the Albertsons and get you some kiwis because she ain't here, girl.
Tamra, you got company. What if there was a Tamra that was home?
Oof.
Because it was random. Be like, Tamra, your friend wants you.
Movie's over. Credits. Yeah. Well, on that lovely note, that's just about all I have for this episode.
That's really interesting. Let's post a photo of it. I saw it, so I've got it. Let's post a photo of it on our social because, yuck. I mean, it's very interesting.
Bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
And to be like, at the ripe age of like, what am I now, like 21? And like just now learning about it is just like...
Me too. Yeah. I'm 21 too.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh my God. Oh, well, thank you for that one. That's a creepy one. You're the one that has to sleep out in the middle of the woods, so... Bad
timing.
Lock your doors. If you see a bright light, just duck.
At this point, I just might run out to it naked. I just...
Take me. Oh my God. Okay, well, good. Thank you for everything, guys. Follow us on social. Rate us, please. Give us some reviews. And if you have any ideas for topics, let us know. I mean, we keep picking them, and we've got some that keep coming in. But please keep it up and send us your ideas because we'll talk about anything as we've demonstrated over the course of 2 seasons. All right, lovely. So, okay, we will see you next week. You ready to do it?
Ready.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Bye.